Alright, welcome to my first YouTube video. Today I'm going to be making a tier list of all my favorite arcs in One Piece. The first arc in the story, Romance Dawn, is pretty decent. I'd put it in B tier because I think it'll be a lot more important and loved once the series is over. But the two most important parts of any story are the beginning and the end. And I think that the beginning to One Piece was great. I think it was really good. I loved seeing Luffy as a kid. Obviously, spoilers ahead for the rest of the video, by the way. Here's your warning, get out of here now. But we get to see more of Luffy's backstory later. But I still think that this is a really good arc. And I think it's done a lot better in the manga and in the One Piece edit than it is in the anime. I actually can't say the same about this arc. This one is straight trash. This is one of the worst arcs in this series, and it's just boring. Buggy is uninteresting. He's a little goofy, and he's a funny recurring character, but that's all. That's it. He always fails upwards, but unpopular opinion, he's not that great, man. And I don't think his arc is either. And neither is this. Listen, this was kind of a generational run of stupidity for One Piece, and I know I might get some hate for that, but to have two horrible arcs back to back so early on is kind of off-putting for someone who might want to start the series that has this many arcs in it, and probably even more. I mean, it's not even close to being done. But Syrup Village was stupid. Kuro is such a uninteresting villain. He had such a stupid plan, and it just the only good part about it was we got introduced to the Going Merry and to Usopp, but it's just kind of lame. I can't say the same about Baratie. I really like this arc. I don't like Don Krieg, which is why I can't give it an S tier because the main villain is just kind of lame. I mean, he was hyping up the Grand Line as if it was this constant war zone and his entire fleet got whooped. But, like, is it a war zone or are you a trash pirate? What's actually going on here? But I do really like this arc. I'm not a Sanji fan, however, I will say that he is a pretty decent character, and this arc was a good introduction. And again, spoilers ahead. First part of his backstory. It was cool to see that. All right, Arlong Park I think is the first S tier arc of the series. The walk to Arlong Park is actually what hooked me on the series. I remember watching episode 36. I think I actually remember exactly which episode. I think it was 36 of One Piece, and watching the guys walk to Arlong Park after finding out what Arlong did, it just gets me every time. It's so cool, and the Overtaken OST is great. It's just a really good arc altogether. Um, it's probably one of my favorites, honestly. Logtown, it's alright. It's probably about B tier as well. It's cool because we get introduced to Smoker, and in the anime, there's that whole Daddy the Father filler episode that is kind of filler, kind of anime canon, kind of ambiguous, which is pretty cool too. We get to see Usopp do some sniper stuff. Um, and we also get to see a lot of parallels comparing Luffy to Gold Roger. And I think that's really cool. And I think that people will appreciate this arc a lot more when the story's over. Reverse Mountain is fine. It's short. Laboon is cool. We meet Crocus. That's pretty cool. Whiskey Peak, same. I mean, it's short. It's cool, I guess. Whiskey Peak's a little goofy, though, because we do get to see Zoro keep drinking and Nami's on her thievery stuff. And it's a fun time. It's probably better than Reverse Mountain, I'd say. Little Garden's actually pretty cool. And especially now that we're in the Elbaf arc, getting to see Dory and Brogy way early on is going to be really cool, and I'm excited to see them in the One Piece live action too. But this is a pretty good arc, and it's cool. It's great world building too. Honestly, I might bump it up to B. Hate me. Drum Island, not the biggest fan of Drum Island. I know there's a lot of big Drum Island fans out there. I'm not one of them, but I get it, and it's really cool. I like the winter theme. I like the ending, obviously. It's one of my favorite moments in the series. But I think that's it. I think it's kind of boring. and Wapol is such a trash villain. Wapol is like the Don Krieg of the Grand Line. It's not great. Alabasta, however, is great. I honestly think it's better than Arlong Park. I think Alabasta is one of the first great arcs in One Piece. And when I say great, I mean great as in one of the big arcs, super long, and there's a lot going on, but it all ties together nicely at the end. Vivi is great, and there's a lot of significance now in this part of the story for Alabasta. So I think it's a really good arc, and Crocodile is a really good villain too. Watching Luffy lose to him twice and then beat him was so satisfying, and it also introduced one of my favorite Straw Hats, being Nico Robin. So I think it's a really good arc. Jaya, this is another unpopular opinion, but I think Jaya is a really good arc. It introduces the themes of dreams and introduces more adventure to the crew. You know, they learn about this city of gold and Nolan the Liar, and then they meet one of his descendants, and then there's the Bellamy Punch, and then Luffy meets Blackbeard for the first time. And I think there's a lot here that people forget when they're ranking arcs because it happened so long ago. But I think it's a really good and really overlooked arc, just like this one, just like Skypiea. Skypiea is actually a really good arc too, because again, like Jaya, people overlook it. But literally, what One Piece is all about, it's adventure, it's intriguing areas that the Straw Hats get to explore. It honestly has everything. And I included this one. You can see it's not like the rest of the images, but I did include G8 because even though it's not canon, I don't think you should watch One Piece without watching this arc. And I'm going to put this in A2. And it's a filler arc done right. Filler in One Piece is notoriously bad, but I just think this arc does it so well, and it fits right into the story. It's just a must watch. Captain Jonathan is phenomenal, and you get to see something that you don't see in a lot of arcs from the Marines, and that's military strategy. It's all about strategy, and it seems like Captain Jonathan is always one step ahead of the crew at every single corner, and it's just a phenomenal arc. And I sometimes will even go and just rewatch that arc because it's just so interesting, and it also introduces Condoriano, who, you know, is an honorary Straw Hat, just like Vivi. Long Ring, Long Land. People are probably going to hate this take, but I think it's the worst arc in the series. Now, before you click off and before you get all mad, it doesn't really provide any value to the story outside of a little bit of festivities and a little bit of time to, you know, see the crew have fun. People like to call it a breather before the heavy Water 7 saga. And it's, yeah, but it's also just boring and annoying. And the first time I watched it in the anime, the filler ruined the whole thing because they did the Davy back fight twice. And people are like, go read it in the manga. And yeah, I read it in the manga. And it's also stupid in the manga. It's also stupid on One Piece. Listen, I've watched the anime twice. Once I watched it all the way through, didn't skip any episodes, any scenes, watched all the filler. And then the other time was on One Piece, and Long Ring, Long Land was stupid both times. I've even read it just to see if it was better in the manga, but there's no redeeming qualities. I'm sorry, it's ass. I would consider both of these one arc, but a really, really good arc, and honestly a top arc in the series. It's sort of like a political drama in a way, because being introduced to the world government some more, and there's a lot of, you know, scenes with one of my favorite characters, Nico Robin, and it's a really, really, really good and interesting storyline. You know, like the Straw Hat crew seems like they're falling apart, and then they kind of, you know, build themselves back up again, and then they go to Enies Lobby, and then they declare war on the world government, and it's just so good. It's the introduction of Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd, and there's a lot of great fight. It's just a really good arc. So, and again, I'm considering these one arc that might be controversial, but, you know, who cares? Post-Enies Lobby. This one's decent. It's like the same as like Loguetown. It's kind of like an in-between arc. It's pretty good. You get to see Kobe and Garp, and I don't know. It's cool. Thriller Bark, this one's kind of mid. I don't know, top of C, but I just thought it was boring. Gecko Moria is a bad villain. Not as bad as Wapple, but he's not great. I do like Brook though. Getting introduced to Brook is cool, but that's really all it has going for it. I mean, there's some funny moments, but it's just one of those arcs that I don't like as much as other people. But who cares? Sabaody is really good. I think Sabaody's A. It's probably better than Skypiea. Um, Probably better than Baratie too, actually. And it's one of the rare instances where you see the Straw Hats lose, and you see Luffy distraught because he realizes that he's not strong enough for the New World, and it also sets up one of my favorite sagas in the series, being the War Saga. Now, the next arc in this saga is it's also kind of mid. Amazon Lily, I don't know. There's really not much going on here. I'd honestly debate putting it in C, but I'll put it in B for now because I do think it's better than Thriller Bark, because it's short. It doesn't waste too much of your time, but there's really not much going for it. Um, Impel Down is really good. I'd probably put Impel Down above G8. Um, you get reintroduced to a lot of characters from the past, and you get to see what they're up to. And I do like the parallels to Dante's Inferno within this arc, and just seeing Bon Clay save the crew again it gets me every time. He's the best. Marineford is probably the best arc in the series. I mean, I don't really have to say anything. Post-war is pretty decent too. I'm pretty sure this is Luffy's backstory. I think it's a little better than Romance Dawn. Yeah, I'd say it fits right about here. I definitely enjoy G8 more, but it's better than Romance Dawn. Return to Sabaody. I mean, it's cool. You see the updated designs of the Straw Hats and stuff, but that's really all it's got going for it. Fishman Island. You know how I said this one was the worst arc in the series? Well, I actually think it's Fishman Island. This one's so boring. The first time I watched the series, I literally almost stopped watching One Piece, even though I was so invested, because I knew this arc was important. And even though I knew it was important, it was just so boring. Hody Jones, I know people like him as a villain, but I just think he's a bad villain. I just don't think he has a lot going for him. I don't know. And I think that the arc itself is just an excuse to watch the Straw Hats flex. So, yeah, not great. Punk Hazard's fine. It's probably B tier because it sets up Dressrosa, and honestly, this whole saga gets set up by Punk Hazard, and you get to see Smoker again. So I think it's pretty good. And there's some funny moments too with Luffy asking the samurai legs to join the crew. It's goofy. Dressrosa is an S tier arc. It's an improved version of Alabasta, and I know that the anime has pacing issues, but reading it in the manga is great. Watching it in one pace is great. And from a story perspective, it's just a really well done story. And I love Doflamingo as a villain. He's probably my favorite anime villain of all time. One of my favorite anime characters of all time. And so I just really, really like that arc. Zou is pretty good too. It's not great, but I'd say it's like B tier. I'll move Amazon Lily down to C tier. But Zou is cool. It's similar to Skypiea, whereas it's a goofy location that is really only going to be able to be done in the One Piece story. It's an island on the back of an elephant. The only reason I don't think it's like A tier is because it feels like an in-betweener arc, and Jack is just a bad character. I don't know. He does that whole thing with like Caesar Clown. I think it's Caesar. I think he does it with Caesar Clown, where he has the gas, and I don't know. I think Jack is bringing the arc down a lot. Whole Cake Island's good. I don't think it's as good as Arlong Park and Alabasta, but I think it's still pretty good. It's one of the weaker of the longer arcs, like Water 7, Enies Lobby, Dressrosa, Alabasta, Whole Cake, Skypiea, but it's pretty good. Reverie's good, top of B, good lore drops, and you get to see what the rest of the world is up to. It's good. And then seeing perspectives from cutaway scenes in other arcs makes me appreciate it a lot more because there's a lot of stuff that goes that goes on during that Reverie that year. Wano's great. Wano is a great arc. I think it's better than Alabasta, but I don't think it's better than Dressrosa. I personally just like Dressrosa better. But if you put this above Dressrosa or even Water 7, I wouldn't blame you because one of the best One Piece fights is Luffy versus Kaido and Gear 5th. I actually remember exactly where I was the first time I read the Gear 5th chapter. I was in a class in high school and I was not paying attention. I was just reading it on my laptop. So I actually read Wano weekly. I remember I read most of it weekly. So I had to go back there and binge it so I could actually get the full experience, but it's still pretty good. And I had to do the same thing with Egghead. Egghead's also really good. I think Egghead is honestly I think it's better than Alabasta, and I really like seeing the Gorosei in action. That's a really cool thing that you don't get to see in other arcs. And honestly, since it's the start of the final saga, it's so peak, and every single chapter just got better and better, and the Kuma flashback was ridiculous, dude. It made me appreciate Sabaody a lot more. Last but not least, the Elbaf Arc. The Elbaf Arc is really good so far. Obviously, it's not done yet, so for that, I can't give it an S tier because I don't know how it ends. But it's really good so far, and I would give it an A. I love seeing all of the Garp flashbacks with Shaki, and I think Loki's character design is just really cool. He has one of the best character designs in the series by far. But yeah, that's my list. I mean, people are probably going to disagree with it, especially Fishman Island being the worst arc in the series, but it's a snooze fest for being real. But yeah, let me know what you would change, and if you hate the list, if you love the list, if you liked my video,